all have questions for them. So please get ready to put your questions in the chat if you're on Facebook. And you can also text us at 313-288-2082. And I see that I've been joined by co-moderator Terry Whitfield. Hi, Terry.
Jametta.
Hey.
How you doing?
I'm blessed and wonderful to be here. We thought we'd let people get a little bit comfortable, get ready, and very shortly we'll start the program.
That sounds like a plan. Nobody likes going from 100 to 0 really quickly. So giving people a chance just to get settled in. So
Yes.
that makes sense. Glad to be able to step in for our friend Christine today.
Yeah, so we are doing our segues with each other. I do want to let people know, to our wonderful guests that are joining us, please make sure that you have your mic on mute. And you can probably be on, if you would hold off on your visual, we definitely want to see you, but why don't you wait until we actually start your segment? Okay, we'll wait a few more minutes. How's that, Terry?
No, that sounds like a plan. How are you doing today, Jametta?
I am doing wonderful. I'm looking out at the snow, but I'm not as unhappy as I would be if I was in New Jersey, for example, with my brother. I think he's looking at about a little bit over a foot of snow, and it's still coming down there. So Michigan isn't too bad, right?
No, anytime I can shovel my front and my back in about a half an hour, that was pretty much a dusting. So I'm okay about that.
Yeah, wonderful, really good. And in fact, I do have to admit, I'm blessed to have a husband who actually enjoys getting out to do the snow. And then, of course, I'm dutiful. I make sure I have some nice coffee or some hot chocolate, just like my mom used to do for all of us in my family when we grew up. Yep, and I kind of figured you had a similar kind of growing up, huh?
Oh, my whole, yes. So that was just, I think my parents had children, not because of the joy of children, but because of the child labor that they could bring into the family. So shoveling has become a part of just my own exercise and yard work. So for me, I do my best not to use the snow blower if I don't have to. So until I can't shovel, I plan to continue shoveling.
Okay, yeah, that's a really wise way of looking at it, because we know that life throws us every now and then some loops. But thinking of loops and thinking about the things that we never thought that we would have to handle. Let's go ahead and move into a program, which is now, I don't even remember, we are at maybe 40 weeks into our response to this pandemic. And families, we've shared with you, we have a dynamic program. We're, as I said, blessed to have Congresswoman Brenda Lawrence. We're blessed to have Dr. Vitti, Superintendent of our Detroit Public Schools Community District, our health experts, and all of you to be part of this work. Please get ready. We're going to start in just a moment, but we would very much like for this to be a two-way engagement, as we always do. And we'd like for you to be ready. You can send your text messages to 313-288-2082. So Terry, I'm going to go ahead and get us going formally into the program.
That sounds like a plan.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Absolutely. My name is Jametta Lilly, and I am honored and blessed to serve as the CEO of the Detroit Parent Network. I'm a mom, I'm a nana, I'm a Detroiter, and I am one of those women from Michigan. I'm also a proud member of this coalition that for almost 39, or maybe it's 40 weeks, has been coming to you consistently with expert information, voices from parents, holding up information and resources to help us stay powerful and knowledgeable. So we have this wonderful program. By the same token, we are just a few weeks away from our holidays. And we want to share with you that just like you, moms, dads, grandparents, professionals, essential workers, we are struggling with how, in fact, our hearts want to be with our families. Our hearts want to be with our close friends and our elders, But I want to let you know that we all in our coalition have made a choice. And the choice that we are making is for the greater good. We will stay masked up. We will keep our distance and we will continue to wash our hands, and we will continue to stay at home in our own pods, in our own places where we know that the disease is not as accessible. And we are saying to you as a community, Detroit, we have stood up and we have helped to lower and become more of a flat line for COVID. We invite you to make sure that more of us get to see those that we love next year. So Terry, that's a sobering note. While we have an exciting program, I'd like to hear from you. Do you have anybody that you're going to be sacrificing your time in the holidays and staying put for?
Yeah. So thanks, Jametta. So for myself, I am 40 years old. And for the time that I've been on this earth, every Christmas Eve, the Whitfield side of the family would get together to distribute gifts, have family fellowship. And then on Christmas, we would all get together to, do the same thing. And so this Christmas Eve, my sister will be in Chicago with her fiance. They will not be coming in. My wife and I have established a bubble. So it will be my parents because they're in our bubble. We'll see them on Christmas Eve. We'll see them on Christmas. But our larger family, we have set up a Zoom call. We have done gift exchange using Elfster. My cousin was great and bringing in that technology. So everybody will be opening gifts together over Zoom on Christmas Day. So like for us, that is how we keep keep ourselves safe. We have a large number of family in Detroit, but we'll all be celebrating separately.
Thank you. And you know what? Would you please share that software in the chat? I mean, we are all becoming experts on Zoom, Ring Central, WebEx, whatever is the medium. So please share. And again, families and community, we are imploring on you to continue to love and stay connected, but do that in your own safe pods, or as our brother Terry said, your bubble. But there are some people who don't have the, I guess you could say, they don't have the luxury of functioning purely in a bubble. But we want to talk about the fact that we're going into a holiday season, that there are different ways that different religions and cultures have celebrated. So how do we do that in the context of what we are trying to address? So in the coalition, we like to do a very quick segment to invite you to hear some comments from some folks who are saying, here's some other ways that you might be able to celebrate either from your religious perspective or from your cultural perspective. So really delighted to have Ophelia to join us to talk about the holidays that she'd like to share. Ophelia, welcome.
Good afternoon, Jametta and everybody, Detroit, good afternoon. I also just want to share, if you need Spanish translation, si ocupas traducción en español, puedes marcar al 313-626-7440. So my name is Ophelia, and I am working here with the coalition from DHDC, Detroit Hispanic Development Corporation. And just to share a little bit of some Mexican traditions and Mexican cultures, or Latino cultures, it comes from our faith base as well. Posadas. So posadas are events, celebrations, festivities that are usually held about 10 days before Christmas. And a posada means like hospitality, like they were looking for shelter, right? So the posada is kind of like we're caroling. The community might separate into people who are representing Joseph and Mary, and as she's pregnant, and the other part of the community would be caroling like the shepherds and the places who like closed their doors to them at first and until they were received. And so it's a celebration, right? We have candles, and then after that they have celebrations. We usually have piñatas, which a lot of people see and have at their parties, but don't understand that the piñatas come from part of our Christian and our Catholic backgrounds. So the regular piñata star would have seven horns, right? It has 7 points of the star, where it represents some of like the 7 sins. So like when you break the piñata, you break, the bad sins, and you get candies. So like we do this around Christmas, and so it's fun in our culture. And maybe some of you have witnessed it. or experienced it yourself. So usually that's what we do around these times. And unfortunately, we're not because of COVID. So we're doing this. I'm staying home for my community and for my family members who have weak immune systems. And it's already cold anyway, so not to try to make it a little worse for them. So that's what I wanted to share with y'all from DHTC, is about our posadas in our community.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Ophelia. We have some other comments too. We are really delighted to have Marty, who is part of our team from the Detroit Public TV. If you would share a little bit about your thoughts when we think about the Jewish community and the time coming up.
Well, thank you. Hag Sameach, Jametta. That means it's a traditional Hanukkah greeting. In Hebrew, it means happy holidays. Hanukkah has been celebrated for a couple millennia. It commemorates the Jewish victory over the Greek rule of Israel in the 2nd century BC. It has a lot of different meanings to Jewish people. It's sometimes been derided recently as kind of a knockoff of Christmas and other seasonal holidays, because it's not really a religious, serious, religious, solemn religious community. But it has great meaning to Jewish families and the Jewish community as a way of getting us together to honor the unity of the community and to preserve traditions. There's a whole bunch of rituals and fun stuff that go along with it, from lighting the menorah to eating latkes and other sweet rolls, singing songs with the kids, spinning dreidels. And it's a very, very social event. And but we, like everybody else, we have to kind of do things differently this year. So I'm very, very fortunate. I have 2 wonderful adult daughters who are living with me through the, so I'm less lonely than a lot of people during the pandemic. And every night we get together and we light the menorah. Actually, I have it here. Can you see it? It's all that wax. So I got proof that we light it every week. My Shoshana loves tall candles, so it makes a total mess, but it's a lot of fun, and we do it every year. And we also, people do it through Zoom. I contact with my larger family's Zoom, and we send so happy Hanukkah through social media. But I wanted to say one more thing. I have the privilege of living next to the Chabad rabbi, and every Hanukkah he invites the family over, and we light candles, and his wife makes delicious latkes and jelly rolls and things like that. Well, we couldn't do it this year, but he was nice enough to invite us into his backyard. They brought out a table out into the cold at night with a bunch of menorahs, and we all, came forward, socially distanced, to light the candles, and then got stepped back. So we were safe, and we could all enjoy Hanukkah next year. So that's how we're all adapting. That's what we have to do to keep our communities happy and healthy. And with that, I will say the same thing I said to the rabbi. Jametta, thank you, and Hag Sameach.
Thank you, Marty, and particularly thank everybody sharing these personal kind of glimpses into how you celebrate, but how we keep it safe. I know that we have another special voice from our awesome Reverend Larry Simmons. Please join us and share with us the love and thinking about as we're moving into the holidays from your perspective.
So, as you know, I am a priest in the Church of God, of Christ. And as are we all who are believers. I teach that theology later. And the Bible teaches us that Jesus is the Word made flesh. And so from a certain perspective, Jesus is a love letter sent to the world in person. And as this love letter, Jesus was celebrated, a mass, a worship service called Christ Mass was formed, which has now become Christmas. This worship, this celebration, is of one who we as Christians believe is the only begotten Son of God. And so here's what I'm suggesting. As we are all separated, Jesus, when he began to leave and knew he was about to be crucified, gave a message to his disciples. He said, look, I'm not going to be with you much longer. I'm about to leave you alone. That's how many of us feel now as we are separated by COVID. But he said, do this. I want you to follow this new commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you, so much you love one another. So here's my suggestion for this COVID separated Christmas. Write a love letter to somebody you love. It could be a love letter made up of pictures that you take from a magazine or snapshots off the internet that you text to someone. Get the family in your bubble, in your pod, in your household to write a love letter, because it is that love that signals to all of us that God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten son. So thank you, everybody. Take time in this Christ Mass time to love the world. Joy to the world. The Lord has come. Let earth receive her King. Let every heart prepare to receive him. Merry Christ Mass. Love y'all.
And love you too, Reverend Larry, and for reminding us that there is a reason for those celebrations, and it is tied to the one Yeshua Christ, who is in our hearts and not in a building, but is in us to shine
That's
forth
right.
into the world. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good. I would like to very quickly share that as we talked about, we've talked about different religious traditions, but also we have cultural traditions. And one of the ones that has emerged in the United States now over 50 years is the celebration of Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa is a celebration of culturally looking at what is called the first fruit celebration that is evident in so many cultures, particularly throughout Africa. And in the development of that, Malena Karinga has said and reminded people that, you know what, Black people, there are 7 basic values that have kept us together through all the atrocities of our past and that can enable us to have a higher future. And some of you have heard of those critical principles. You've heard of unity, and you've heard of collective work and responsibility, cooperative economics, purpose, collectivity and creativity, and so importantly, faith. Well, this year, from December 26th to January 1st, and I have celebrated Kwanzaa, and many of my friends have for 30 plus years. And now we can't do it the same way, but we're going to be very much like the others that you've heard here. We're going to connect through Zoom. We're going to be on the telephone with each other. I have a 93-year-old great aunt, and she still hasn't quite gotten the feel of working on Zoom, but I'll be on the phone talking to her and saying, Aunt Margaret, talk to me. Tell me the stories of unity, which is the first principle in the Nguzo Saba, which are the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. Tell me about that first principle of unity and how our family there in Houston and all throughout the country stayed focused on unity. And how did we do self-determination to name, define, and speak for ourselves? So I'm going to reach out to the elders in my family and ask them to tell me their stories, and then I will type those up, and I'm going to share that with my grands and my great-grands, so they in turn can pass it on to their children. Other people may want to take Kwanzaa and join with the Charles Wright Museum of African American History and celebrate it there. Online, but again, you can do this in your own household. You can still purchase a Kwanzaa kit where your family can come together each day and think about what are the principles of that day. And you can start off by saying Habari Gani, which in Swahili means how are you? And so if it's the principle, the last day, which is faith, Imani, and someone says Habari Gani, you are going to say Imani, which means faith. Because it is through faith that we all together are able to move our families forward and move into the future. Because faith is that which is not seen, but is believed in. And so if you're celebrating Kwanzaa, you still have the opportunity to light your candles, to call, to celebrate each one of those principles. And the Charles Wright Museum of African American History is one of those resources for you. And certainly each of us, all of us, Marty, Reverend Larry, Ophelia, we are all part of making the holidays special, even though we can't be as connected. So thank you very much for that segment. Terry, we're getting ready for the next section. We've got something special, don't we?
I know, and I want to make sure that we get our logistics together, because Christine will beat me up if I don't represent her co-hosting duties correctly. So just really quick, my name is Terry Whitfield. I am the husband to Shay, puppy dad to Sophia, program officer at the Skillman Foundation, and a proud member of the COVID313 Community Coalition for students, for families and students. And I'll be co-hosting today's town hall with Jametta. In my mind, I will be the bookman to her Malona, for those of us who are familiar with Good Times.
Who's that old?
We are translating. We are translating today's town hall to Spanish and ASL. So we want to give folks time to get on the right line and to get comfortable. Christina or Ophelia, I know Ophelia, you gave the number earlier. If you could please share it again, share the number for Spanish translation.
Of course. Si ocupas traducción en español en vivo de este video, por favor hable al 313-626-7440. La traducción hoy sería por la señora Gloria Rosas y Cristina Mazón Ruiz.
Thank you, Ophelia.
You're welcome.
And Julie, can you please share the instructions for ASL? Awesome. So please get comfortable. Stay with us for the next 60 minutes so you can stay informed and powerful. This is also a time for you to ask experts your questions and have a little fun. So to ask your questions, please use the chat on Facebook or text your questions to 313-288-2082. Again, that is 313-288-2082. We will have a Q&A after each segment. If we can't answer a question today, we are committed to getting the answers to you by early next week. All the questions asked today will be posted with answers on onedetroitpbs.org. For our experts, please remember to speak slowly for our translators. They want to make sure that they are translating the important information that you're sharing today. Also, make sure to turn off your camera when you are not speaking to ensure our ASL interpreter can be seen, and make sure to mute yourself when you're not speaking. I am playing double duty today and also playing timekeeper. So I will shoot you a chat once we get near time. And if you go over our time, either myself or Jametta will jump in to gently move the conversation along. So with that, I'm excited to turn it back over to Malona. Take it over, Jametta.
Wait a minute, I thought it was Ruby D last time. So
I'm switching it up.
Okay, sounds good. So thank you so much, Terry. We're moving into a really wonderful program, and we are truly honored to have in this next segment our Congresswoman, Brenda Lawrence from the 14th District, to join us. And first off, if she would come on the screen so we can let you know how delighted we are to have you with us, Congresswoman Lawrence. Welcome. And of course, when you're ready, the machine is never ready. You're on mute right now. Okay, I think we might have you.
Good morning.
Ta-da!
Sorry,
There you are.
that was a challenge. It's an honor to be with you all.
Zoom is another issue. Okay.
Thank you. I do these all day. I don't know why it was challenged, but it's so good to be with you this morning.
Yes, thank you. So we would like over the next 10 minutes or so to kind of have a conversation, and we wanted to shoot a few questions to you that have been coming from our families and really a very wide audience that we have. So one of the things obviously to start with is, what have been your concerns about your constituents as we have been going through now more than 9 months of COVID? What do you think are the critical issues and concerns that you have, whether it's health, education, or even relevant to social justice and action?
So 2020 has been a most amazing, transformational, confrontational year We have struggled with a pandemic. We have struggled with all of the social issues that the scab has been ripped off of during this period. When you talk about COVID, it exposed our lack of ability and sensitivity to mental health. It showed our disparity in healthcare based on racial and social and economic issues. It has exposed also the inability of government when it lacks compassion in addressing and being a leader to address all these issues. And for me, being a member of Congress, this has played hard on me because I saw the deaths, I saw the suffering, and to know that our government was not responding in the way that it could to save lives. Over 300,000 people are missing, are gone, missing from families and from loved ones. And could we have done a better job? Absolutely. You know, some of the challenges of COVID is that we were forced to stay home. And for some people, home was not a safe place.
Yeah.
Domestic violence, child abuse cases have risen. And then you talk about the ability to work, our small businesses who were confronted. I know so many small business owners and minority owners who had a grand opening just a month before they were shut down. And that was heartbreaking to watch because you celebrate when, especially in our minority community, when they rise to the level of entrepreneurship and use their creativity and their resources to grow our economy and to grow the social needs in our community. So to watch that and to see the unemployment, who would think that in America we would have food lines like we had? And so you went from people who are struggling to pay their rent, their mortgage, childcare. I did a town hall on the need for America to have, just like we have healthcare, we need to have childcare benefits. Absolutely. And a father chatted, this is right in your backyard. He said, Congresswoman, I pay more for child care than I do for my mortgage.
Yes.
And so the reality of being able to work and take care of your children, another issue that came up was accessibility to the internet and to broadband in rural areas where there's not even an option because they're not wired to have children. And this falls in your network too. We have children across this country who have not showed up for virtual learning. We don't know where they are.
Yep.
We normally have a count day and we know when children have reported, but we have these children just missing. So some of our children are diminished to holding a cell phone to try to do classwork. And some of them are in environments that do not nurture a learning time, or they don't have the support at home. And then the hunger. Some children are at home, and so our schools have become major distributors of food. So I'm giving you all this gloom and doom, but I'm saying 2021, I am so hopeful. I'm hopeful because not just Joe Biden will be in the White House, but the compassion. And I say this with no apology. A politician who lacks compassion is a criminal because they will hurt people. And so many people have suffered. And the one thing I know about Biden and Kamala Harris is that they have compassion. And that, thank goodness, I'm hopeful because we have a vaccine. And so for everyone who those frontliners who's been in the medical field, who have held hands of complete strangers to give them some comfort during their transition from life, to have to communicate with the families who could not hug or console. I just want 2021 to just embrace you with the gratitude and the thankfulness that we all have for what they have done. In 2021, we have the vaccine, we have new government leadership, but we have some major tasks to address. Education of our children. Have they really lost 1 year of education?
If not more.
If not more.
Yeah.
And we're going to have to step it up. Criminal justice reform, and I know I have a lot to say, but a lot has happened. The people went to the streets to cry from the street and said, this is not acceptable in our America. And I hear them. We passed the George Floyd Policing Act, which was sent to Mitch McConnell's graveyard. I can't tell you how disheartening that was for all every ethnicity. All 50 states had rallies and people taking to the streets to protest, which is our constitutional right, to say we must make changes. So we still have the responsibility to answer to the public. I'm excited to have the opportunity for another term to serve and to move forward with legislation to make a difference. And we have now the stimulus bill that we're right now negotiating. And as you all know, we had the stimulus bill that payment that was $1,200 per family. That has been reduced to $600. And the unemployment supplement that was $600 a week, it'll be reduced to $300. There's a number of other things we're going to do a separate bill now to address the small businesses, to address the cities and municipalities who have been just plummeted.
Yeah, sure.
So we still have a lot of work to do. So 2021 is not going to be, we're done. No, 2021 means to get to work.
Get to work. Congresswoman, you laid out in a plethora, a wide range of really critical issues. And in particular, you made the point that COVID just really, ripped the scab off of it. It took off the veil. If anyone didn't understand that structural racism is an inherent part of this nation since its beginning, they see it now. But also, we have structural mediocrity and stupidity, quite frankly, that exists, and lack of efficiency that exists in a lot of our systems. So I'm wondering, you've identified a couple of things. So may I ask if you could zero in for me a little bit on one in the legislation that you're hoping to be able to move forward with. So we know there's emergency legislation that needs to happen. And we are thankful so much to be able to know that we have a new administration and a new set of compassionate leaders who believe in science, by the way, to lead us. But could you talk a little bit about, from your perspective and having Michigan on the mind, what might be some legislative and policy directions that you think are important for us to be thinking about, whether it's addressing the digital divide, whether it's having more equity in distribution and funding for education, health services, et cetera. Your thoughts on some of that, please.
So our community health centers is, I'm a strong advocate for. I fight for them. I sit on appropriations. That means that I'm the one that distribute the federal dollars. The community health centers has really been a savior during this time of COVID for healthcare. We must make sure that we fund them and I say expand their services. In addition to that, I know for a fact mental health must be addressed in social justice and gun violence and healthcare. And I'll give you a couple examples. We all saw that horrific example of this man who was having a psychotic episode. He was totally nude, screaming and hollering in the middle of the street. And the only response he got was police who put a bag over his head. And we've seen other cases where people have been shot, running away, that, if someone was trained properly, we must mandate that our police I'm not defunding them. I do not embrace that. I was a mayor. I know when someone dials 911, we want someone to respond to help them. And so I want clearly that we have trained, professional, and accountable police departments in America. And we need to have a system, just like you call 911, when someone is in danger. We need a system that we can call for a trained mental health responder. We need to understand, I had a town hall on mental health, and one of the psychiatrists had a shirt on, it was on the panel. I go to church, I believe in God, and I see my therapist. Because in the African American community, it's like, girl, you just need to pray, or you need to talk to Jesus, or just go chill out for a minute. But if someone said they have chest pain, they say, go to the doctor. You know, if you're diabetic, did you take your medicine? Why do we just put such a negative stigma on healthcare, on mental health? Yeah. And we are going to have to step it up, because there's too many people in prison now who were not criminals, but mentally ill. We see gun violence, and you see the parents saying, something was wrong. I asked for help and no one helped me. I knew he had a problem. And so that mental health piece is going to be something I'm really going to zero in on.
Yeah, we would love to be able to see that, because we know, like in so many health disparities, Black folk, but certainly also First Nation, Hispanics, and other marginalized people don't have access to adequate health care.
Yes.
And so speaking of health care, I've got to ask that V question. So we now are talking vaccines, but we know that the lived history of Black people in particular, so the suspicions and questions we have are legitimate. How would you, from your perspective and having watched things, and I want to make sure we can still get to a few questions from the audience, could you share what do you think about the vaccine, and what would you tell communities how we should embrace or engage in those vaccines as they become available?
We all have to make our own personal decision. I am thankful that we have the vaccine. My goodness, I don't want my medical people dying from COVID, because they have to be in that room. And I support the distribution. I am down the line. I just want everyone to know that I am watching closely the reactions to the vaccine. I think that we really need to know the impact and be very strong. There's a number of leaders in the African American community who have said, wait a minute. There's others who are saying, especially in the medical profession, because we died at a disproportionate rate with COVID. I don't want any of my community dying when there's a vaccine. I'm in the group, because people ask me all the time, I'm in the group. I am not running to the front of the line. I am encouraging anyone, because the need is so great. I don't want to lose any more lives, but I am really, really looking to get the next round, not the first round.
Would you say, if you had to give a term, would you say you're cautious? Are you cautious optimistically? How would you land in saying this is where I'm at about the vaccine?
I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm cautious.
So as we know, wise women are always looking to learn and have knowledge, and at the same time be faithful that there is a way out. Yes. And that's certainly what you are. So the very last question I have, we have so many, we could really continue to have this conversation, but this is kind of a pivot. You raised what we know was the social action issue. And we know that Michigan has some awesome women who are large and in charge here. And as a result of that, we have been hit with barbs and threats from Washington and even right here in the state. So part of the issue for when we think about elections is also new districting is going to occur.
Yes.
And we know a little bit about the history of gerrymandering. Could you share with us briefly about what your perspective is, and what would you encourage us to do as we think about 2021 and the whole piece around redistricting and how it affects our political power?
So I just want everyone to know that, let me give you an example of my district and to define gerrymandering. I represent all 5 of the Grosse Pointes. I represent half of Detroit, Hamtramck, Royal Oak Township, Oak Park, Southfield, Farmington Hills, West Bloomfield, Kego Harbor, Orchard Lake, Sylvan Lake, and Pontiac.
Yeah.
Now, if you mentally just think about it, it's like a giant snake. It's a clear example of gerrymandering. It's unacceptable. But I have one of the most amazing districts. I have almost every ethnicity you can think of. I have an international border. I have the diversity of the Great Lakes, fresh water. I am the home to GM, and I have, all these amazing things. However, it should not be this way. So when we start talking about gerrymandering, we as a state voted to have a nonpartisan approach to this. And we're expecting the districts to be more of a square or more continuous. Now, we have 2 voting rights districts in Michigan, and it's the 13th and 14th district. I am proud to say that, I'll just say it's factual, I'm the only African American in this state of Michigan. And we have an opportunity by voting to select the people that will represent us. We have we have some amazing women that are elected to the position of Congress. And, the state put some amazing take no names leaders in our state government. So when it comes to the threats, there's not a member that I know, female, that would lay down from you threatening them. We have to do our job. Voting was just so critical. And I was so proud of Detroit and the turnout. I work the polls, and I do this every election day. I just go to all the different precincts and just visit and encourage and shake hands. And the number of first-time voters, those young men and those young women who that mother was standing right behind them, you're going to vote today. And to see them to be excited about their ability to participate in a democracy. And that was what was more on the line than anything, was protecting our democracy and telling people, make them understand, if you don't vote, our democracy does not work.
Right.
And so I was very proud of the number of people who turned out. Whether you voted one way or the other, I'm just proud that we participated.
So one of the things that you've just said about the pride, in particular, how Detroit showed up and shone and showed out, we would love to invite you to begin to have more conversations as those discussions are moving forward about the districts. And we should let you know that everyone in this coalition, we were out there making sure that we rock the boat. But families, voting is only one part of being a citizen. Real change is persistent knowledge and action being applied. Congresswoman Lawrence, thank you so much for blessing us with your time and your knowledge and your passion today.
I want to say thank you so much. It's always a great opportunity because I can't touch people. Oh my goodness, I just love that human touch. But I want to say to everyone, happy holidays, and thank you for embracing the diversity during this holiday season of how we come together and celebrate, and now it's going to be virtually. I want everyone to continue to be safe. Although there's a vaccine, we still have an issue of reducing the spread of this virus. And until we start seeing the numbers go down and we plateau, we still must social distance and wear masks. I am so thankful for everything that God has blessed me with during this holiday season. And one of them is each of you and the role that you play, the Skillman Foundation, the Parent Network. All of us are playing a role from our spiritual leaders and our cultural diversity. We have so much to be thankful for. Be blessed, and I will see you in 2021.
2021. There it is. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank
Take
you.
care. See you
Terry,
soon.
you see, this is how, aren't we blessed? And we're going to continue our conversations. But before, I just want to double check, did we have any questions that were in the queue?
We did have one, and we'll make sure to get it to you, Congresswoman Lawrence. But just to give you the heads up, the question was, where do you propose the money comes from for mental health services, if not the police whose roles they are taking? So it's a very complex question, very complex
Let
situation.
me just
as it
respond
relates
to this. I'm not saying it shouldn't come from there, because policing and mental health is tied together in so many different areas. So it's the term defunding. I use the word, we need to look at redefining policing in America.
Yeah. Maybe
Awesome.
that's a conversation. So let's not forget this. Maybe it'd be wonderful to have you as CEO of the Detroit Wayne Integrated Healthcare Network, Willie Brooks, and to talk about what some of these ways that we can redo that, as well as with our own mayor and police chief, being the largest city in Detroit, in the state. This is an important conversation to have in the future. Thank you so much again.
Thank you.
Fundamental to everything that we're doing, obviously, is not only about who we are, who we vote for, but it's education. And I'm delighted as always now to get ready to hand the baton to an awesome woman, Arlisa Hurd, who is part of our wonderful coalition and is out there all the time engaging parents to move into this next section, where we are very proud to have Dr. Nikolai Vitti, who's the superintendent of the Detroit Public Schools Community District and has been continuously a voice for equity and a voice for our children, and doing the right thing as best as we can all the time so that our children can thrive. Arlisa.
Hello, thank you, Jametta. It's always great when you're introducing people. You can't help but to smile. You feel like, I don't know, it feels so grand. Like maybe there needs to be a band playing in the background.
Next time, right?
Yeah, I'm telling you, how can you, you get so excited when Jametta introduces you, but thank you so much. I'm going to try to do my best. So,
you will.
But first, I'll just say that my name is Arlisa Hurd. I am part of a member of 482 Forward, as well as a member of this coalition. But most importantly, I am a parent. I am a proud DPSCD parent. Dr. Vitti, you may not remember this, but a few years back when the coalition was formed, my son, we were in charter school, and I came up to you and I said, we've got to get this thing right, because my son is coming back to high school, but he's coming back in DPSCD, and I need you to do something about it. Well, we're back. And so I see that you're doing something about it. However, there are some questions. There are a few of them. I know our time may be running a little short, so we may not be able to ask you all of them. So I'm going to start with the most popular ones that we've been hearing about, and then we'll just kind of take it from there. Okay.
All right.
Thank you and welcome. And so the first question is, we've been hearing President-elect Biden has said within the first 100 days, he wants kids to be back in school. And of course, we know that depends on what happens. But just in line with that thinking, what is the district's decision-making process to go back in person, and what should parents be prepared for in 2021?
Yeah, great question, and definitely probably the most relevant question. So first of all, thank you for having me. Always appreciate this forum to talk directly to parents in the community. And happy holidays to everyone. Please stay safe and enjoy your family and friends. I'll get that out there because we'll get talking about the work. So right now, when we think about the fall, let me back up. This has always been about data and science for us as a school district. And we said that if the infection rate, positive infection rate in the city is 5% or below, we believe that we should offer parents an in-person option, and that it should never be imposed, that we shouldn't be talking about forcing parents to come for in-person learning, but that the option should be there, because every parent, every child is dealing with and responding to this and has the resources, capability to respond differently to the pandemic from a learning point of view. But from an equitable access to traditional public education, that schools, at least through learning centers, should be available to all students and in-person learning. So with that being the case, and that takes us back to the summer, fall, when we opened up school, when our infection rates went above 5%, we started to have conversations about suspending it. We decided as a district to suspend even before the governor suspended high school in-person learning. And so our belief right now is that in-person learning is suspended until January 11th. Right now, the infection rate in the city is going down a little bit, but not rapidly. And we want it to go back down to 5% or less and stabilize, and then we'll open up the learning centers first. And then if they continue to go much below 5%, we'll have a conversation for the third and fourth quarter about offering in-person learning if our teachers are willing to do that. So that takes us at least through this school year. As we think about next school year, our current thinking is to once again provide parents with choice. So we believe as a school district that even in the fall, even with the vaccine available, that we should still offer parents the option of in-person learning or online. We know that not all Detroiters are going to support the vaccine and be comfortable with having their children or themselves or their greater families participate in the vaccine. So what we're going to do as a school district is advocate in Lansing, and we need your help to do this. And this is, I saw some of the questions and I want to try to tackle it up front, is we really need advocacy in Lansing starting after winter break to be very clear that we want the flexibility for in-person learning or online learning, and that both options be fully funded. That the legislature doesn't say because the vaccine or because other school districts are going back 100%, that DPSCD has to go back 100%. I think any kind of legislative mandate that requires in-person learning in the fall is going to be insensitive to the reality of this country from primarily a race point of view. When we look at the history of immunizations and medical research that has been completely inappropriate to Black and brown communities. So that's our stance, but I am very worried that the legislature is going to move forward in a direction that is not going to be sensitive to the Detroit community, and possibly move forward on only requiring in-person learning and therefore only funding in-person learning. That would have a significant detrimental impact on us, not only disenfranchising parents, but crippling our budget financially. So there's a couple clear things that I think we need to start thinking about and advocating for, and the district will take the lead, but we need your voices. Per pupil funding at least staying where it was last year. 2, giving the option for in-person or online learning and funding both at the highest, at the normal level. And then lastly, creating some kind of blended model regarding enrollment. I think the legislature and the governor did the right thing going into this year, which was to blend enrollment defined by 75% last year before the pandemic and 25% this year. I think that is a realistic way and an accountable way to say, because of the pandemic, enrollment attendance is skewed, and therefore funding should not be solely contingent on the way it was funded in the past. So a lot of information, but that's where we are now. As a school district, very similar to what Representative Lawrence just said, was we are going to, create awareness and an opportunity for the vaccine, but not be in a position to impose it or require it as a school district. We want parents to ask questions, gain to a place of comfort in participating, but if they don't, they don't. and at this point, not make it contingent on enrollment or attending school in the fall.
So thank you for that. Now, some of the stuff that you mentioned kind of leads into this next question, and that was, what kind of anticipated deficits, or do you anticipate deficits for 2021? And I'm assuming that probably so, but more importantly, how can the community support, if at all, to avoid any kind of cuts, if that's possible?
Yeah, I think we, you know, I was excited about this opportunity because this is the first time, other than a couple radio interviews, that I've had an opportunity to talk about the vaccine since it's come out and what it means for in-person learning in the fall. And so I think as a community, as a school district community, we need to get ahead of this as far as the legislature is concerned, and start advocating now before the legislature starts getting into the requirements for next year, the funding for next year, to say per pupil at the minimum should stay the same, you know, with obvious challenges at the federal and state level with the economy. We know that there may have to be state budget cuts, but that K-12 is protected. They did it last year. I think they should be able to do it this year. So advocacy point one, per pupil funding should stay the same. 2, online learning and in-person learning should both be an option and both be fully funded. And then 3, that enrollment is defined by either 75 or 50% before the pandemic, and then obviously, you know, the 25, 50% be based on 21, 22 enrollment. Now, those are 3 points that I think we have to galvanize on and advocate, so that Lansing is not just hearing my voice or the board member's voice, but the community's voice, that the Detroit caucus understands where we stand. I think they're going to be supported on that, and that we start pushing early rather than being late in the conversation. Because I think if up front, Lansing knows where we stand on this issue, I think it will help other districts, smaller districts that have similar concerns, also jump in. I think most Metro Detroit districts and city charter schools will share our concerns, and those are other advocates that can join in this fight. You know, your direct question about deficits, if those 3 advocacy points are addressed, I'm not worried about our budget next year. If those 3 issues are not addressed, I am worried about our budget, because it would mean that we would have to educate children online, and we're not being paid for it. So that's one issue. The other issue is if enrollment, if enrollment for FTE purposes is only based on the fall count, we run the risk of having a lower count than wherever we're actually educating children, because the pandemic is exacerbating the challenges that we've already had with attendance and chronic absenteeism. And that obviously has a disproportionate impact on us as a school district because of the community we serve and the challenges that they're facing through this pandemic around consistent attendance. Once we get through this pandemic, I know we're going to be at or above where we were from an enrollment point of view. I'm not worried about that. I'm more worried about the negative impact enrollment's having, the negative impact the pandemic is having on enrollment and consistent attendance. So once we get through it, I think all's fair with moving to the regular model. And so even when we started the year, we were about 3,000 students less than we were last year at the same time. But since the count period, we're now only 600 students fewer than we were last year. So our kids are coming in person before we suspended it and online. They're just trickling in later because families are dealing with the challenges of the pandemic. So that's the long short of it.
Okay, and one last question, and I think the rest we will have to have answered and be able to put it out so folks can see it. But one of the most popular ones was, special education. Also, what kind of extra support? There are some parents that are saying that they're not getting any enough support. What's being done about that?
Yeah, the online learning, has been a challenge for everybody. And so there are only, I would say, a few, a pocket of students that have really embraced online learning. There are a few, and I hear from them about trying to continue on online learning in a different way after the pandemic. But then when you think about the challenges that online learning has had on all children, and I think that's regardless of socioeconomics and regular challenges with education, online learning is just not the way we teach and learn, at least, especially at the K-12 level. And then when you look at the normal challenges of poverty, it becomes even more complicated. And then it becomes even more complicated for our special needs children and their families. So, our greatest challenge in meeting children where they are and their needs for our special education learners is challenges with accessing them directly. So either parents want in-person learning and teachers are not comfortable with in-person learning, or the children's disability at home cannot be met because they're at home and the teacher cannot work hand in hand with them at home. Or students are engaged online, they're learning, thinking when the instruction is happening, but then when they move into the assignment, students struggle with completing the assignment on their own. And that's even the case for non-special education children. So, we continue to try to have our paraeducators reach out, our teachers reach out, but there is this gap in just direct access, and that is hard to overcome. I will say, whether we're talking about special education or general ed in general, I will be releasing tomorrow an opportunity for parents, students, community members to join an on-learning task force that we're creating, because there are some issues that are evidently in need to address. And obviously I have ideas, the district has ideas, but it is time to broaden the conversation and add more voices to the problem-solving process. So one issue is, how do we continue to improve attendance? Secondly, how do we deal with grading? What's the best way to deal with grades? How do we deal with assignments? What's the right balance on assignments, on homework? And then how do we continue to help our special needs children? And so those are some topics that I specifically want the task force to analyze and to think about, and then offer me recommendations on how to deal with this for the second semester and going into next fall, knowing that we're still going to have families that are going to be most comfortable with their children learning online in the fall, even when a vaccination is present.
Thank you so much. And you described everything that is happening in my household right now. I hear my son over there. They're doing something in this way. I hear him right now, but it is so very real. So I know we're up on time, but Terry, was there a question folks had? And if not, I can hand it back over to Jametta.
I am looking at the text right now, and other than somebody sending me a text wanting me to let Dr. Vitti know that there was some concern about his overall well-being because Divine Child didn't do too well in this year's varsity football season. So, but other than that, no, we're good to go. We're good to go.
Oh, okay.
Gary, you always find a way to add that to the conversation. We know that you're a strong Cub advocate, but
there you go. They didn't do too much better either, sir. So we're equal this year.
We're all rooting for Cassius Winston in the NBA. So we're on the same page when it comes to that, at least.
Cassius Winston was out of MSU, right?
Right, and then he went to UAD for high school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Well,
Okay.
Janetta,
Yes,
I'm
and
going to hand it back to
got
you.
it. Thank you. Dr. Vitti, thank you continuously for
Thank
your leadership in being a fierce advocate for our kids. We all look forward to your announcing yesterday, or I'm sorry, tomorrow, the opportunity for more people in the community to be part of the solution building. We know we got lots of problems, and none of us envy you and your administration, or any educator for that matter, during this time period. But certainly within this coalition, and certainly Detroit Parent Network, we are happy to be of assistance as we can as you try to engage the community more around that solution building. So we're looking forward to that.
We'll send you the link so you can share it out. We need all the help we can on the advocacy part at Lansing moving forward. So we'll work more on that together as well.
Yeah, absolutely, because equity is not a word. It has to be activated at all different levels. So we are in this fight with you for our school kids and all children. Thanks so much, Dr. Vitti.
Take care.
Wonderful. We're going to, we do our checklist: social change, justice, education. And now we're back to the critical issue that actually propelled us into this in the first place, which is the issue of health. So we're pleased to be able to welcome back to the program Japari Paul, who is from the Detroit Health Department. And then we'll follow that with the great team that we have from Henry Ford as well. Japari, if you could come on screen, and if we could take anywhere from about 7 to 10 minutes to give us some updates, and at the end of that, if you would, what are some critical things that we need to know to make sure that we're staying safe and staying, put during the holiday? Welcome, Japari. Are you in the video? We only see the slide. We'd love to see you.
I turned on my camera. I don't know if you can see me.
Now that's better. Yes. Please go ahead.
Okay.
No, you're
great.
You know what? We have to stay connected. Visual is wonderful. Thank you. Go ahead.
All right. Well, thank you again for having me and the health department. Our team is constantly trying to update our community on what's going on. So next slide, please. I also want to let you all know that my counterpart, Renata Polk, who is the part of the DHD-led program, is in the chat, and this is her contact information. I know we had great discussion about lead last week. I just wanted to provide you all with her information as well as the information for our lead program. If you have any questions, she's in the chat right now. And then in regards to the current situation, we can see here that we currently have 23,848 confirmed cases as of yesterday, and 1,679 confirmed deaths. We still continue to see cases from various parts of our city. The Northwest as well as the Southwest seem to have concentrated levels. In the state of Michigan, still high numbers, 446,752 confirmed cases with 4,037 confirmed deaths. And I do also want to highlight here that we are seeing that our positivity rate is going down. So hopefully by the time we get into the numbers below 5, we can open back up our schools, as Dr. Vitti mentioned. Next slide, please. We continue to see spread in work areas, workplaces, where people are spending time with each other, long-term care facilities, social gatherings, retail businesses, shelters, bars, and restaurants. I do also want to highlight that there are spreads going on in families. So whenever you're interacting with folks who might not be from your immediate household, continue to wear the mask and social distance. And even if you do celebrate the holidays with other family members, still wear your mask. Next slide, please. I just also wanted to highlight here regarding outbreaks. We do constantly monitor these outbreaks, and I wanted to bring your attention to the Michigan.gov website, which reports every single outbreak within our state of all the schools. So if you are interested in finding out, they update this every Monday, and that's on the Michigan.gov website, a Michigan coronavirus page, and it will give you all the details that you might be looking for regarding outbreaks within our schools. Next slide, please. I also showed you a map last week, but this map shows the bed capacity, inpatient bed capacity, total patients, and we have total of 75% of our beds occupied right now. So we need to keep doing what we were doing. Last week we were at 80%, so we are trending down, which is good. Keep up the good work, everyone. Next slide, please. All right, and we are still in our pause to save lives order right now, so please continue to avoid the places that are such as the bowling alleys, which are closed, the fitness group classes, restaurants with indoor dining. However, everything on the left is available, and hopefully after the 20th of December, we will have updates from the state of Michigan regarding what next we'll be doing. Next slide, please. All right, and as I mentioned, our vaccine distribution is on the way. Pfizer was granted the emergency use authorization. We're currently in phase 1. In the next slide, and this is phase 1 of 3 phases. In our next slide, I just want to highlight phase 1A is currently healthcare providers as well as long-term care facility residents. So those are the folks that are currently eligible to get the vaccine. The rest of the community will get it at later phases. Next slide, please. And if you are interested, I won't spend too much time going over this slide, but this is available from the CDC. They have 8 facts that you might want to know about the vaccine. I do want to say our health department also has a frequently asked questions page on our website that you can also reach out to. Next slide, please. All right, testing is still available. Please visit the michigan.gov/coronavirus test to look up where might be closest to you, and also where you might be able to get the results at the times that are available for you. So please visit michigan.gov/coronavirus test or call the number 888-535-6136. Next slide, please. And for all residents within the Wayne, Oakland, and Macomb counties, please visit the Joseph Walker Williams Community Center, schedule an appointment, call the number 313-230-0505. And they do require an ID. So make sure you have that prepared and call ahead. Next slide, please. Finally, recommendations for this holiday. As always, we say keep your celebrations to a limited amount of people, no more than 10 people from 2 separate households. Continue to wear a mask and practice social distancing. However, in the next slide, we ask that if you are going to participate in a gathering, ask yourself some questions. Are you possibly sick with COVID-19 and having some symptoms? Have you been exposed to somebody with COVID-19? And lastly, are you going to be interacting with somebody that may be affected negatively by COVID-19? Ask yourself these questions before you plan to travel or gather. And in the next slide, I do want to say 3 tips that we would like you all to remember is to have a conversation. If you do plan to gather or travel, set expectations with your group. Make sure everyone is knowing that they need to wear a mask. Possibly have self-serving utensils where it's not everyone is touching the same items. And then make sure everyone knows that we all need to wear masks to stay safe. And then finally, regarding travel, first of all, do your research. Make sure that the location you're going to, you've reviewed the recommendations that have been made by those states. California is on lockdowns right now. Make sure you get your flu shot and do what we need to do, wearing the mask and socially distancing, and pack extra supplies, pack extra masks. Finally, we do recommend that if you do travel, take a COVID test before and after your trip. So try to schedule one with any of the information that I gave you at the Joseph Walker Community Center or Michigan.gov and schedule a test before you travel and after. And lastly, we do want to say that our health department is available at 313-876-4000. And Detroit, our email is dhdoutbreak@detroitmi.gov. Please visit our website. Please visit our social media as well. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We have many campaigns going on. We have the Reimagine Your Holidays, as well as a new campaign, I Stop the Spread. So please visit us and see what we're doing for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Japari. And I love that you said reimagine our holidays. When we're they often say that it is through the ways that we get tested and adversity that we find our creativity and our best solutions. So I think that's awesome. And in fact, it would be wonderful if people start sharing on Facebook the different organizations that you work with. How are you going to celebrate your holidays, activities that you're going to do, but staying within, as Terry said, your bubble, or as the health department has said, in your family groups where you know people are safe. I would like to let folks know that the information that Japari has provided from the Detroit Health Department, if we could, let's make sure that gets into our chat so that you can download that information. It was wonderful information. Thank you. Thank you also for bringing the information about lead, because we know there's a critical need for us to look at lead that has been historically a problem in the city of Detroit, not only in terms of our buildings and in our paint, but certainly in our water as well. So thank you, Japari, and your team at DHD for facilitating that for us. Terry, do we have any questions for the Detroit Health Department before we pivot to the team at Henry Ford?
No, we do not have any questions, Jametta. We are clear.
Is that your pooch?
This is my poochie who loves her mama. I just feed her and take her out. She only tolerates me.
Well, she seems to be quite happy and content to be with you from this perspective. Okay, so we know how you're going to be celebrating. It's going to be 3 of you for your holiday plus. We're getting ready to move into the next segment, but I would like to take just a little bit of a personal privilege. We've been talking about the vaccine, and we know there's a whole host of issues and questions. So what we would very quickly like to ask those of you that are joining us through Facebook, or if you are in the Zoom, we have 3 questions for you. So the first question that we'd love to hear from you is, are you planning to take the vaccine? Are you planning to take the vaccine? Could you simply, in the chat or you can text us 313-288-2082. Are you planning to take the vaccine? Yes, no, or not sure? Just take a moment, if you would, and send that information to us. Are you planning to take the vaccine? Yes, no, or not sure? And everyone that's on the Zoom, please jump into the chat. And the reason why we're asking these questions is because as our public health and all of us that are concerned about the health and well-being of our community, the more that we understand, the more that we know, the more that we can plan and be an advocate for health and well-being. The second question that we have for you is, what information do you think you need to make a good decision? What information are you looking for to help you make a good decision? Just jot down whatever thoughts come to mind for that. And because our job is to hear what you need. And as a community, those of us that are engaged around health disparities, whether it's the Governor's Task Force, Henry Ford, DMC, community health workers, mental health, all of us, community-based organizations and faith-based organizations, we need to be places that you can get the answers as we move into this new phase of opportunity. What other information might you need to make a good decision? And I'm going to pick on you. As I look at the Zoom, I see over 30 names. So I'm hoping to see 30 answers in the chat. Okay, so with that, while you're thinking about your answer, we don't have to think about who are the really important voices that we have that are joining us right now. I'm so pleased to welcome to the program Janae Scott, who is a Master of Public Health with the Global Health Initiative that's part of the COVID313 mobile testing that Henry Ford has been engaged in. Janae, please, you're welcome. And if you would share a little bit with us, a little bit of an overview of what Henry Ford has been doing relevant to mobile testing for COVID.
Very good. Thank you so much. My name is Janae Scott. I'm with Henry Ford's Global Health Department. Since the spring, Henry Ford's Global Health Department has really been responding to the COVID-19 crisis. We've partnered with the Detroit Health Department to help with some of the testing that's been going on in the nursing homes, as well as supporting the vaccine trials. More recently, our team has started doing some community-based testing throughout the city of Detroit, as well as Dearborn. So this testing that's available is happening at different churches and schools throughout the community. It's free for anyone that needs testing. You don't need a provider referral. You also don't need insurance. It's really just free to anyone that is in need of testing. And I do want to let you know that starting in January, we will be expanding out to Oak Park community. So we'll be at Oak Park High School. We're also expanding to Southwest Detroit and then keeping some of the churches and schools that we've been going to this year. So currently right now, my team is at Third New Hope on West Warren. They're there until 3 o'clock. Again, you don't need an appointment. You don't need a physician referral. You can just show up and get tested. Results are available within 48 hours. And tomorrow we're at Go Lightly on St. Antoine from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Janae, so this is an important part of the infrastructure of testing. So the city of Detroit, Detroit Health Department and others started when we first began in the pandemic at the state fairgrounds. We've got Henry Ford mobile testing, Wayne Health has mobile testing, and of course testing is available at some of the community health centers. Could you share, in addition to COVID tests, are there any other health services or information that people might be able to receive when coming to your locations?
Absolutely. So during the COVID testing in the community that we're doing, we're also offering flu vaccines. So we have a team there that's supporting our work by offering the flu shots for those that are interested. We also have information about caregiver programs through Henry Ford. We've really broadened the definition of what a caregiver is, especially during this time of COVID. So informal caregivers, those that aren't being paid, those that are caring for themselves during these trying times. We have information about those caregiver groups that Henry Ford puts on.
And so right now, in your flyer, if I see you've got some contact information, could you also share how many families or individuals have you been able to test so far? And you started in what month?
We started at the end of November. So it's been about 3 or 4 weeks now, and we've seen about 600 people. And yeah, so if you go to the website, henryford.com/free COVID tests, it has the information on our times and locations. And again, that'll be updated for the new year in January.
Okay, great. And so I'd like to hit pause just for a quick moment and find out if we have any questions from the audience. So Henry Ford, not only in terms of doing COVID testing, but connecting to some of the other services that Henry Ford is able to provide. Terry, do we have any additional questions?
No questions as of yet, but I am sure. Oh, wait, nope, we got one. Is Henry Ford offering antibodies testing as well?
Henry Ford does offer antibody testing, not at our community sites, however. That would have to be set up through a provider.
And so the other question I just saw that came across on my phone was that if someone has health insurance already, but they want to go get tested because I'm part of, for example, I think you said folks are at Third New Hope today. So if I'm in that congregation, how does that information get to my my primary care doctor or to my health plan?
That's a really great question. So when people come to our testing sites in the community, we essentially sign them up for what's called MyChart. It's Henry Ford's patient portal. So your test results are in there, regardless if you're negative or positive. So you can share that information with your provider if you have a Henry Ford provider. If you don't have a Henry Ford provider, you still will have access to MyChart, the patient portal, and you can share, to whomever your provider is outside of the health system.
Oh, okay, great. So if I've come there, then I can go into the portal and then say, here's my doc and my health plan is so on and so forth.
Yep, you can share it.
Great, wonderful. Yeah. Sounds good. Thank you so much. Terry, anything else?
Yeah, we got one more question that came in. I would like to know exactly what is a vaccine, including any additives, preservatives. I want to know what's going into my body. So I think that is a larger question. Is like, what is the vaccine, so that people understand like what's actually being put into them to protect them.
Janae?
I wasn't sure if that question was for me exactly. So I don't have all the details about the vaccine specifically. We're just doing the testing. But I do think that's a really great question that, we should have answers to, as a health system, and definitely connecting with providers to understand, the larger implications of the vaccine. But unfortunately, I don't have information about the vaccine myself.
And maybe we can look to get an answer for that for our first session when we get back in the new year.
Yeah, absolutely. And so families and audience, we do want to let you know that the COVID Coalition is certainly planning to do what we call a deeper dive into the vaccines. We know there are a number of questions about how it's made. Were African Americans, Hispanics, and other people part of the clinical trials? There's a number of questions that we want to do, and we're really pleased that Wayne State University and others have said, yes, we will work with you to make sure that we get actionable information that your community can understand and come from community voices that are part of this work. And so lastly, again, if you have a question, you can put that in the chat, 313-288-2082. Or you can put that in the Facebook. And if you haven't answered, we did a 2-question poll. The first one was, are you going to get the vaccine? Yes, no, or maybe. The second question is, what information are you looking for to help you make a good decision? We welcome you to share that with us, and in turn, what we commit to do is to try to help bring that information to you, because we know knowledge is power, and that's what we are all about with this coalition. So we're getting ready to wrap up. I'm going to kick it to my co-moderator, Terry Whitfield. But I do want to just take, we've said to everybody, we're all sacrificing during this time period, and that's what it's going to take. So if I could, I would just like to, and I can't, I was going to share on the screen a picture of my grandchildren who are twins, Nigel and Isabella, other members of my family, my brother and sister-in-law, my great aunt who is 93 going on 17 years old. I'm sharing with you, and we welcome you to do the same thing. Think about who you are helping keep healthy by not being with them this holiday, so you can have many more holidays in the future. Terry?
Yes, and so because I am the timekeeper, I'm being mindful of time. So this town hall is truly a group effort. So before we go off, we would like all of our partners to turn on their video. And as everybody turns on their video, as been stated, 2020 has been an awesome year in every shape of the word. And we are just excited that you chose to spend your Thursdays with us during this time, getting the information, being a part of the conversation, and really helping to make this a community coalition. So with that, stay healthy, stay positive. Stay healthy and stay powerful and stay strong. Stay healthy, stay powerful, and stay strong. Ophelia, can you share that with our Spanish speakers? Or Gloria? Or Cindy? Mi español es muy poquito.
Okay, come off of mute. Come on.
Manténganse saludables, poderosos y fuertes.
And stay on video.
Awesome. All right, we're done. Thanks, everybody. Have a great holiday season. See you in the new year.